So I have already explained the operating principle of DC generator. So these are the field poles, north and south, right? And in between this is this circle that you're seeing. This is a rotor element, right? So for simplicity I am drawing this much only. So this field poles, this is the stationary part, right? So field winding is done on this field poles, right? So this is one field pole, this is another field pole. These field poles are stationary, right? These field poles are a part of a stator, so stationary, right? Now this circle, this represents rotor, right? This is a rotating element, all right? So this, if you see from the front, it will look like this, right? If you see if you see it from the top, then you can this kind of structure. So if you see it from the front, then you will realize that this is actually, it is having length, right? This is having length, right? This is having length. Let us suppose this length from here to here is small l, right? And the diameter is d. Let us suppose this, right? So we will follow the flux cutting approach. To derive that EMF equation. So have a look at it. So magnitude of induced EMF, see here I have already explained in the operating principle of DC generator that if this is a particular rotor conductor, so this is a rotating conductor which is placed in a stationary magnetic field, right? So these are basically field lines which are coming out from the north and which are entering into the south, right? So this is a rotor conductor which is rotating, which has been rotated by a prime mover and which is placed in a stationary magnetic field produced by these field poles north and south, right? So this rotor conductor is rotating and the field is stationary. So that means this rotor conductor will experience a change in flux because it is cutting the field lines, right? Conductor is rotating and the field is stationary. So definitely the change in flux will be observed by this rotor conductor. And that's why according to the Faraday law, the EMF will be induced in this rotor conductor. I have already explained the direction of which you can determine by Fleming right hand rule. I have already explained this in DC generator operating principle. So this magnitude of induced EMF is given by d phi by dt, right? The basic relation. And this is nothing but you can write it as a flux cut by one conductor. You should write this flux, this is nothing but flux cut by one conductor in one revolution, flux cut by one conductor in one revolution, right? And when you divide it by time taken in one revolution, time taken in one revolution, So if you divide it by time taken in one revolution, you will get induced EMF, right? You understand this now, this much? So let us drive further. Flux phi, it is, let me call that this is flux phi, and it is flux per pole, right? In DC machine you will always take flux per pole. Phi is a flux per pole, and let me call that this Z is the total number of conductors, and A, let me call A is the total number of parallel paths, right? And P is the total number of poles, right? And what is capital N? Capital N is the speed in revolution per minute. What is RPM? RPM stands for revolution per minute, right? So now you might be thinking, what is the parallel paths, right? So here let me describe the parallel paths. So I told you the structure of this armature, or you can say rotor. So this is cylindrical, it is like this. If you see the close view of this rotor, it is having so many slots, isn't it, like this? And in these slots the different coils are embedded like this. Suppose this is slot number 1, slot number 2, slot number 3, slot number 4, right? So in these slot the coils are embedded like this, all right? So here this is a single turn coil that you are seeing, right? So which is having this this is a winding, basically this is a conductor, right? So likewise you are having so many slots and so many coils, all right? And here you are having this, see this 1 2 3 4, what are these? These are basically parallel paths, right? So likewise there are several coils and several turns and correspondingly several conductors in these rotor slots, which are embedded in rotor slots. So these particular paths which you are seeing, these are known as parallel paths, right? So now let me draw it separately. So basically this kind of a structure that you are seeing, this and then after this, so this is basically it is one turn coil, right? One turn coil, right? It is a single turn coil in which this is one coil side and this is another coil side, right? So this particular portion that you are seeing, this is called as overhang portion, right? So this is a single turn coil, likewise there are so many turns. So this is one particular conductor, this is another conductor, right? So this is the structure, right? Now let me drive it separately. So let me take a for simplicity, let me take 4 parallel paths. So this is one parallel path, right? I am going to draw another parallel path. So this is second parallel path. Now I am going to draw the third parallel path. Now I am going to do the fourth parallel path. Right? So this is the structure of four parallel paths, right? So now what are these which you are seeing? These are basically, you can call them as coils, right? So this is one coil, this is another coil, this is another coil. So likewise there are so many coils. For simplicity, let me take only 6 coils, right, which are connected in series. All right, so this is one coil, this is second coil, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, right, likewise, right? So likewise there are so many coils. Similarly in this parallel path, these are the series connected coils. So likewise here in this parallel path, right? So this particular structure that you are seeing, this is the brush basically. This is another brush. So this is one brush, this is second brush, right? So this figure, it is like number of batteries connected in series in parallel paths, right? So this figure is exactly similar to the structure in which number of small batteries which are connected in series in so many parallel paths, right? So if one battery voltage is 10 volt, then what is the total voltage in one parallel path? 10 plus 10 plus 10 plus 10 plus 10 plus 10, total 60 volt. So 60 volt in this parallel path, 60 volt is this parallel path, likewise here and here, right? So for simplicity, I have chosen only 4 parallel paths. Likewise, there are so many parallel paths in the DC machines, and for simplicity, I have assumed only 6 coils, right, in series. So the total number of conductors in 4 parallel paths, suppose, so let the total number of conductors in 4 parallel paths are Z, right? I have already taken total number of conductor to be Z. See, Z is a standard notation for the conductors, right? Similarly, N is a standard notation of the speed, you should keep in mind. So total number of conductors in 4 parallel paths are, suppose, Z. So number of conductors per parallel path, can you tell me? So number of conductors per parallel path. Per parallel path means in one parallel path. Definitely you should divide it by 4, right? Because you have assumed that there are 4 parallel paths. So similarly, if I want to generalize this, if there are total A number of parallel paths, right? Similarly, if Z number of conductors are arranged in A number of parallel paths, then number of conductor per parallel path will be, see what I said, if total Z number of conductors are arranged in total A number of parallel path, then number of conductor per parallel path will be, tell me how much, how many? Number of conductors per parallel path. If there are total A number of parallel path, then you should divide by A. All right. For generalized expression, you should write Z by A, where Z is the total number of conductors which are arranged in a number of parallel path. So I have written number of conductor per parallel path will be Z by A, right? You understand this much? Now come back to this E is equal to d phi by dt. This EMF is nothing but flux cut by one conductor divided by time taken per revolution. So you will write small e is equal to, so see here, phi is flux per pole, right? So can you tell me what is the flux cut by one conductor, one rotor conductor in one revolution? If this is a 2-pole machine, then total how much flux it will cut? It will cut 2 phi, right? Because this conductor, assume that this is a rotor conductor, it is rotating. So if this is a 2-pole machine, if you are taking 2-pole DC machine, then I am asking what is the flux cut by one conductor in one revolution for 2-pole DC machine. एक पोल के नीचे का फ्लक्स फाई है तो 2 पोल के नीचे से कितना फ्लक्स कट होगा टोटल? 2 फाई, बिकॉज फाई इज बेसिकली आप टेकिंग फ्लक्स पर पोल. एक पोल का फ्लक्स कितना है? फाई. सो व्हाट इज द फ्लक्स अंडर 2 पोल्स? डेफिनेटली 2 फाई, राइट? Similarly, if it is a 4-pole machine, then what is the total flux cut? 4 phi. Similarly, if it is a 6-pole machine, then what is the total flux cut by one conductor in one revolution? Total 6 phi. Similarly, if it is a 8-pole DC machine, then what is the total flux cut by one conductor in one revolution? 8 phi, right? Similarly, if you want to generalize it, if it is a p-pole DC machine, then what is the total flux cut by one conductor in one revolution? Tell me. It will be definitely p into phi, where p is the total number of pole and n and phi is the flux per pole, right? Now, what is the time taking in one revolution? So you said that n is a speed in revolution per minute, right? So suppose this is equal to 600 rpm. Suppose this is equal to 600 rpm, 600 revolution per minute. That means 600 revolution takes how many seconds? 60 seconds, right? For example, I am taking n is equal to 600 rpm. So what is the meaning of this? Meaning of this is that total 600 revolutions will take how many seconds? 60 seconds or 1 minute. That is the meaning of revolution per minute. So 600 revolution will take how many minute? 1 minute or 60 seconds. So one revolution will take how many seconds? 60 by 600, right? So that means one revolution will take how many seconds? 60 by 600 for this particular example. So similarly, if I say that the speed is n rpm, n revolution per minute, then what is the time taking in one revolution? Definitely 60 by n, right? You understand now? 60 by n. See what I said once again. If the speed n is 600 revolution per minute, that means 600 revolution will be made in 60 seconds. Then one revolution will be made definitely in 60 by 600 seconds, right? Similarly, if I say that the speed is n rpm, then what is the time taking in one revolution? Definitely 60 by n, right? So this is the induced EMF, right? So here you can further simplify p phi n by, you will write 60, right? Now one last step. If so there are how many conductors in one parallel path? Z by A. So this is the flux, this is the induced EMF by one conductor, that is p phi n by 60. So what is the total induced EMF by Z by A conductors? What will be the total induced EMF? Definitely you should multiply by the number of conductors by the induced EMF by one conductor, right? So total induced EMF, it will be induced EMF in one parallel path, it will be total number of conductors in one parallel path into the induced EMF by one conductor. So that means you will write P phi n by 60 into multiplied by Z by A, right? So what is the expression for induced EMF finally? P phi n Z by 60 into A. You understand this? So this is the EMF induced in DC machine, right? EMF induced in DC machine. So the same EMF it will be for DC motor, right? Because construction is same for DC generator motor. So P is once again total number of pole, phi is the flux per pole, n is the revolution per minute speed, Z is the total number of conductor, and A is the number of parallel paths. You understand now? So if it is induced EMF for generator, then you will write it E suffix G for generator, and if it is for motor, then you will write E suffix M. But the expression for induced EMF in armature would remain same for DC generator as well as DC motor, because construction is same, right? So the same formula will be used for DC generator motor, right? So you understand, this is the expression for DC machine EMF equation. So hope it is clear to all of you, right? So you understand now. One simple information you should note down. Number one, so there are winding patterns. One is lap connected winding, right? Lap. For lap connection of winding, your number of parallel path is exactly equal to number of poles, right? And for wave connected winding, for wave connection of winding, number of parallel path will exactly be equal to 2, right? A is equal to 2. So this lap connection is used for high current and low voltage, but wave connection is used for low current and high voltage. So you need not to study winding pattern, right? This much data would be sufficient, more than sufficient for numericals, right? So just keep these two data in your mind. That means for lap winding, write A is equal to P, number of parallel path A is equal to number of poles, and for wave winding, number of parallel paths is equal to 2. I'll give you the trick to remember this. Just have a look at it. Lap, how to write lap? LAP, right? So in this lap, see here, A and P both are coming, right? So just put a small equality sign here, right? A is equal to P. So that means for lap connection of winding, A is equal to P, A is equal to P. So if you keep this one in your mind, the another one will automatically be saved in your mind, right? So for wave winding, A will be 2, right? Wave winding, A will be 2, right? So let me once again write the EMF equation. EMF equation was E is equal to P phi NZ by 60A, right? E is equal to P phi NZ by 60A. And what is the angular speed? Omega. Mechanical, M stand for mechanical, angular speed. Omega is the angular speed. So it is, you know, it is 2 pi n by 60, right? N is revolution per minute. What is n? N is revolution per minute speed, right? So omega m is mechanical angular velocity of rotor. Omega m is mechanical angular velocity of rotor. So here, so omega is not 2 pi f, remember, omega is mechanical angular velocity of rotor. It is 2 pi n by 60, where n is revolution per minute speed. So from here you can calculate n. It is n is 60 omega m by, you write 2 pi. So now put this value of n here in this EMF expression. So when you put this, you will get phi z by 60 into 60 omega m divided by 2 pi, and here write the remaining p by a. 60 get cancelled. So what is remaining? Pz by 2 pi a, all right, and phi into omega m, right? So this is the EMF, right? Pz by 2 pi a, let me give this another notation, k suffix a, right? A stand for armature, so phi into omega m. So this is the induced EMF, and let me give suffix a to this, EA. A for suffix a stands for armature induced EMF, right? So E is equal to Ka phi omega m, right? EA is equal to Ka phi into omega m. This is the compact form of induced EMF in DC machine, right? What is Ka? Here Ka, you know, it is Pz by 2 pi a, right? Where Z is the total number of conductors and A is the total number of parallel path, P is the total number of poles of DC machines, right? So this is the total EMF equation. Thank you very much.